Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
Level 2, electrified fence. That's terrifying. Let's get out of here.
Hey, Nick fam! Remember, Nick on TVC is your one-stop for engaging children's shows like El Tigre.
TVC Communications, Nigeria's leading independent broadcast company, has been officially designated as a great place to work. Over the past 3 years, we have transformed our workplace into one which is respectful, caring, rewarding, and provides great benefits to all our 500 employees. We thank our team for giving us the chance to show that partnership between employer and employee really works. TVC Communications, officially designated as a great place to work, and now the only broadcasting and media company, not just in Nigeria, but throughout continental Africa, to be fully certified. TVC Communications, a great Nigerian company, a great Nigerian place to work.
It's Healthy Tuesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Tokwe Mark Odige, and with me as usual I have my wonderful ladies. YK, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Good morning, good morning. Before I give you my banter, can you imagine? Since I've been doing these shows, like 12 years. Is it 12 years this year or 13?
12 years this year. 12 this year.
I've never forgotten to wear earrings. I should have known that I was going to be on the show with you. I forgot my earrings.
She always forgets my God, I'm always forgetting my earrings, and I actually have backup.
It's Tokwe spirits that got me. I have never forgotten my earrings before.
Meanwhile,
I was looking in the mirror when I got to the. I said,
something is missing.
No earring.
So this
but what I've noticed because of your hair.
These studs are, I told you I did a third piercing. So that's why I have studs in. I can't take them out until...
Is it late age crisis? There's midlife crisis and there's... because for you to be piercing at this age.
I did it actually because I was trying to convince my granddaughter that it's not painful.
Oh, did it work?
It did. Because she watched me do it. She was still very nervous, and then her mother pierced her, and then she was like, oh, it's not bad.
She trusts her grandma so much. I like that video.
But meanwhile, it was painful for me. I just...
Anthony, your hair looks beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
It's just done, it's fresh.
Yes, yesterday.
Beautiful.
It's your people that do it for me.
You did it. Omozo. Oh, this is really fine. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, my gist, my banter today is, for the past week or two, I've been watching a lot of movies. I don't watch films. I don't know if you don't know. I'm not really a film. You don't see me going to cinemas. But I've been watching a lot of films, and they've been Nigerian movies mostly. And I just noticed that when the woman wants to be unglamorous, when they want to portray her as suffering or unglamorous, she has her natural hair. Normally, they will leave it all back. or
And
just doesn't look.
They don't make natural hair beautiful.
They don't make when they wants to be. She's glamorous. Go up, put this kind of wig on top head.
So it sends a message that this is glam,
and it's not supposed to be.
And it's not supposed to be like that. We are the ones supposed to be pushing it. So Nedo, Made's wife, was telling me the other day that that's how one girl wanted to do a video for somebody, and she used her natural hair. They told her no, she has to go and wear a wig. She had to go and wear a wig. When are we going to stop changing this narrative?
Exactly.
How are we going to teach our younger girls coming up that you are beautiful the way you are. You don't have to wear a wig to be beautiful.
But we can
conversation we had
support
yesterday.
I don't know about whether we can support. That's your own.
You should see the
My
beauty
own narrative.
in your natural.
Yes.
So I believe that. But Auntie Annie, you know now, you've always been on this. Yeah.
I had to say it because I've been watching. I've watched more than 15 in the last 2
And
weeks.
it's no hot topic, and you've been saying these things since a long time, and we are all supporting you. This year now, me and Mariam, we have been braiding and carrying our hair.
I'm loving both of you.
All right, Mama, how you doing, Alaja?
I love you. It's just that I don't like your hair.
So we are to blame for most of this. Those of us who dress daily and make this sign the standard of glamour.
Yeah.
We no longer boldly carry our cornrows. We don't beautify our cornrows and make it look beautiful. A lot of young girls have us to blame for why they have the
mentality.
low self-esteem about their natural hair.
Amaka, this is your glasses today.
Thank you. Like I said, you know, I've been complaining on TV that I sleep with my glasses. I keep breaking my glasses. And I got gifted 5 new glasses.
Wow.
With my, just ask what's your points for your glasses, and I sent it. And
With specification, and they
sent me 5 glasses. So thank you so much. And just yesterday,
we are also here.
Yes, and Auntie, just yesterday, we were just having that conversation, right? Where I was really upset, like, as I don't understand why natural hair should not be the standard. People should be allowed to braid your hair,
so
do
this
whatever,
natural hair
just
topic,
your hair.
We'll discuss it on a Friday.
Have you seen how beautiful Mary Alimi looks on Wake Up Nigeria?
Yes, she's looking very fine.
Oh,
I really actually agree.
natural African look.
But I feel that the
Mary.
conversation will not end, but we must always reiterate it, because I am having to tell my son Samuel that earring is not normal, because he's seeing what he sees on TV is that a lot of all the boys are wearing earrings, and I said this is TV. I wear makeup on TV. I don't wear makeup every day. So if you judge me based on what you see on TV and expect that I will look glam like this every day, that's a lie. So TV is make believe. Earrings you don't wear every time. It's not majority that wear earrings. So there are little things that we push online that on TV that we must help our children understand or put it into context. That's why we discuss these things once in a while. But it's not our topic.
I'm so happy that you two have noticed it.
You know, it was a long conversation.
When we return,
yesterday.
we have this paper review to do. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. We're starting off front page review with The Nation and the major headline. Federal government allays fears over 14% Trump trade tariff. Economic team assessing impact on budget 2025, assumptions to determine response soon. In other news, Afe Babalola cautions against proliferation of universities. They seem to be on every kilometer on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. You will see another university. First Lady's RHI backs battle against cervical cancer with 1 billion naira. The Abure-led Labour Party threatens sanctions on OT and Obi. They lack power to call NEC meetings. Tinubu committed to well-trained, tech-driven modern police. Another story on the police is police dispersed protesters in Abuja, Port Harcourt, guided march in Ibadan, Lagos. Ayedatiwa gets ultimatum to pay minimum wage universities others. 19.4 billion naira contract fraud. BPP directors testify against Sirika. And the APC governor's visit to Buhari to show in a show of unity and strength. So what story are we going to be starting with?
Let me do Ayedatiwa in the short story.
Yes, what's happening?
The Joint Action Committee of Staff Unions in the Ondo State owned tertiary institutions have written a letter of frustration to Governor Ayedatiwa saying that the 2024 national minimum wage and related salary adjustment has not been implemented in that state since 2024, and it is frustrating their lives. Let me take the institutions in question. So, Adekunle Ajasi University, Akungba Akoko, Olusegun Agagu University of Science and Technology, Okitipupa, University of Medical Sciences, Ondo, Rufus Giwa Polytechnic, Owo. All these are the institutions, and their letter was signed by representatives of the senior staff associations of Nigerian universities in those institutions, the non-academic staff union, NASU, in those institutions, the National Association of Academic Technologists, and the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Polytechnics. And these are the bodies in question. I'm surprised that this is still now, because maybe because the former governor was a bit indisposed at the time.
Oh, okay.
Before, there was a long time when he was indisposed and he was acting. I don't know why discipline. I blame the civil servants in charge of the account.
For not speaking up.
Yes, once a salary adjustment, it is you who would advise governor.
If they can afford it.
But you just say, okay, you approve the same amount, send the same amount to governor to sign and approve, and then blame the governor. I don't know why this is. It's just man's wickedness to man. But these staff have been working and they are frustrated and they are demanding that if within 14 days, governor no implementer, there will be an industrial action within the state.
Who has the next story? Right, what's the
Okay. I was just trying to make sure Amaka didn't take it. The protesters in Abuja.
No.
Okay. The police yesterday they dispersed the protesters who stormed the streets in Abuja, Port Harcourt. They went to 4 cities: Oyo, Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Abuja. And the police dispersed them in Oyo. In Abuja, they used tear gas to disperse them. The protesters were carrying placards such as "Stop the repression, let us breathe. Any law that forbids us from speaking our truth against oppression in Nigeria is no longer a law but shackles of slavery." So they had all these kind of placards, and the protests didn't have a large turnout according to the paper. I didn't see it on TV, but according to The Nation, it didn't have a large turnout. But the police were still there to disperse them. They threw tear gas. In fact, on one TV station I watched where they even beat and arrested the reporter himself.
For covering the story.
Because he was just there, but because they were just attacking, this was in Rivers. They were attacking everybody. They attacked plus reporter plus everybody, beat them, put them inside their vehicle. What's his name? Showore and then Deji Adeyanju were in the protest. I think it was actually organized by Showore.
I think it might be a hot topic, but whichever way.
If it's a hot topic,
should be allowed to protest.
It is good. It is good. I don't think protesters should be stopped.
Exactly.
I think it doesn't speak well of the government, so because we are supposed to have a voice.
Exactly. That's true. So President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has restated his administration's resolve to bequeath to Nigeria a well-trained, well-motivated, well-equipped and technologically driven police force. This is said will make policemen and officers always steps ahead of those who threaten the peace, welfare and prosperity of the nation. He said that April 7 has been institutionalized as an annual National Police Day to honor fallen heroes of the force. The President spoke at the maiden edition of the National Police Day, which climaxed a week-long activities to mark this year's Police Week in Abuja yesterday. The President was, of course, represented by the Vice President, Kashim Shettima. Yes, the President also outlined measures that are being put in place to immediately attain an effective and formidable police force And this includes provision of modern tools and technology to enhance the operations of the force, better and adequate accommodations for its personnel, accessible healthcare and quality education for the families of the police personnel. And he said that these things are going to materialize immediately. It's going to take effect immediately. He also, the most important thing is that they also honored the officers who have made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. He sends his condolences, his deepest condolences and unwavering commitments to preserving their legacy. And, you know, he encouraged them to continue to do better to preserve lives and property of Nigerians.
I'm going to quickly read through the headline in the Punch. Moving on. Local government autonomy, governors block council chairman from opening CBN accounts. The governors tighten grip as central bank rolls out stringent account opening guidelines. In other news, you can't miss the picture of the protesters. Anger as police disrupt protests, deploy choppers. My selection as Alaafe divine, not political. That's from Oba Uwade. 4 arrested as JAMB uncovers 585 fake A-level certificates. Fans, friends mourn 4 gospel artists killed in Ogun accident. US imported $648 million Nigerian goods in 2 months. That's from the report. 78,000 Cameroonians, others sought asylum in Nigeria from UN. Factional firestorm. Obi Abure camps clash over parallel neck meetings. And final headline, 2027, APC governors visit Buhari amid associates defection to SDP. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll be continuing with Front Page Review. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Another season
Dad,
of
it's starting
Cowbell
already.
Media.
All right, so the 60 seconds of fame starts now. How many lines of symmetry has a rectangle? 2. Correct. Simplify 6p cubed multiplied by p squared divided by 3p4.
2p.
Correct.
Don't miss a single moment of the action in the Cowbellpedia Mega Minds 2025 edition.
Catch me, your quizmaster, Ebuka.
And I'm your host, Linda.
Tune in to Cowbellpedia Mega Minds.
Some say learning is fun, but as a mom,
TVC Communications, Nigeria's leading independent broadcast company, has been officially designated as a great place to work. Over the past few years, we have transformed our workplace into one which is respectful, caring, rewarding, and provides great benefits to all our 500 employees. We thank our team for giving us the chance to show that partnership between employer and employee really works. TVC Communications, officially designated as a great place to work, and now the only broadcasting and media company, not just in Nigeria, but throughout continental Africa, to be fully certified. TVC Communications, a great Nigerian company, a great Nigerian place to work.
Do you think you can outplay me in this game of wits and knowledge? Can you go 7 rounds without flinching? I meant answering 7 questions correctly. How well can you hold your liquor? If you're curious, then join us for the most exciting conversation and games with your favorite celebrities on 7 of 7.
Welcome to Pure Entertainment. What would you like to order from our menu today? We have the regulars.
So let me go and look for my jammies. So
My 280 was 320. I suppose don't be one medical.
At this point, I contest my jammies.
I want to close the show.
I can go. I can.
That's all we can take. Ejeki, close the show.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. So we're going to continue front page review with The Punch. Who has the major headline?
I have the major headline, and it's paining my heart.
Yeah.
Because this
We were all
local
celebrating.
government autonomy is taking forever. So according to this story, they are facing challenges implementing that Supreme Court judgment that grants local governments their autonomy financially, because now some state governors, are explicitly warning the local government chairman from opening accounts with the central bank for the direct payment of the allocation from the federation account. All 774 local governments, only Delta State's local governments have submitted accounts successfully. All other local governments within different states are suffering this wahala as part of the requirement for implementing. Because if they don't have accounts, how do they pay directly to their account? They said that the panel had recommended that the central bank goes ahead to open the accounts for local government so that it can implement the judgment. But some state governors are now giving them warning. They say some of them are even asking them to remit 50% to the local government monthly and some 50%. It's just annoying to be reading this story at this time.
Supreme Court judgment.
A Supreme Court judgment that should have been executed since forever, enforced since forever. Some states, local governments are willingly submitting theirs to their governors like Oyo, while some are having problems still taking instructions from their governors.
So I wanted to check the story of the fans and friends that mourning the 4 gospel artists that were killed in the Ogun Road accident. They had the accident along the Shagamu-Ikorodu Expressway on Saturday, and fans are one of the artists was Kekere Jesu. There were 3 others, evangelist Ayodeji, sorry, that was Kekere Jesu, evangelist Yanu Joseph, Monjola Jesu, Oluwapamilerin, and Opeyemi Adeshina. The vehicles had head-on collision, and because of the speed, 24 people died.
Oh my God!
24 people. The road safety are just saying that people should please stop the speed. It's this speed that is killing us. And most of the fans wrote the gospel ministers and evangelists. They are gospel ministers and evangelists, but they still died through accidents. They must have prayed against evil during their prayer time, but it still happened. This shows life is so complicated. Sometimes you can do everything right and still get it wrong. You can pray hard and evil still happens to you. Life is just complicated. We only survive by the grace and not by strength. May their souls rest in peace. May Nigerian drivers, please, that speed, let's stop it. You know, third mainland, they have given us 80. But you see people going, flying past you. Now, if me that I'm going at 80, you are flying past me, if you jam me,
what will happen? And it's the impact.
It's problem.
Yes.
You know?
The impact that causes that. Anyways, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board said it uncovered 585 fake A-level certificates in 2025 alone. The year never even starts safe. With 4 suspects already arrested by the police. The registrar of the board, Professor Oloyode, made this known during a closed-door meeting with the staff of the board. He condemned this worrisome prevalence of fake A-level certificates, stating that it was to curb the menace that the Nigerian Integrated Post-Secondary Education Data System was established as a platform for managing and collecting data related to post-secondary education in the country. He said that they are investigating 13 suspects, but so far 4 has been apprehended, and that the 4, they're helping them uncover the cartel, because that there's a cartel behind this whole fake certificate, and that they also have internal collaborators that are helping to abate this gross misconduct, so that they're working on it to phase it out, you know, because it just doesn't make sense. And some other people are studying and working so hard, and some other person will just come and fake results and get into schools. That's not what our system and educational value stands for. So they are working to sort it out.
Okay, so I have the story of 78,000 Cameroonians sought asylum in Nigeria. This information came from the UN, actually. The UN, United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, over the period in review, submitted that a number of people have actually filed for asylum. The number increased drastically from Cameroon based on the fact that there was a military coup that took place there. About 52,000 Cameroonians lodged the highest number of applications in Nigeria, but over a period of time, there was a peak that happened just last year, 22,000 in 2023, and these people are seeking asylum in Nigeria through the agency. I'm happy that it's done officially, because most Nigerians just feel like people just stroll into this country with their bags and come in and they stay in Nigeria, but there's actually a process, and the numbers of those that are seeking asylum officially are documented, so that's a good thing. We'll move on to the next paper, which is Vanguard. Is it Vanguard? Vanguard. Cybercrime Act, emergency rule protest. Police protesters clash in Abuja and Port Harcourt. And Afe Babalola to National Assembly, stop approving substandard varsities. Reverse Fubara suspension, US Law Institute task Tinubu. In other news, global tariff war, federal government review impact on Nigeria. Labour Party crisis, Abure Obioti, summon parallel NEC meetings. Atedo Peterside shares Vanguard Personality of the Year award. And yeah, what story are we going to be taking in Vanguard?
Okay, let me just support the chief and the Leonard Silk, the other statesman, Afe Babalola, who was speaking at the High Impact Research and Journal Advancement Workshop organized by the Afe Babalola University Journal of Sustainable Development Law and Policy, themed Diamond Open Access Journal Management and Sustainability. He was using this platform to ask the National Assembly, particularly the Red Chamber, to stamp out universities, mushroom universities without, schools without vision, geared towards delivering quality and functional education. For instance, yesterday when I left the show, I looked at the Independence Bridge. I looked, just into the wash, and I saw most of the steel, the concrete off the pillars holding that bridge. I was like, oh, the Minister for Works was very correct when he talked about those capsized bridges, boats that are hitting and they've washed off the sea had washed off most parts of that bridge. But I was also thinking, if our schools were researching on the kind of concrete we need.
It's been years though.
It's been years, but now we need to invest in concrete that would survive the saline nature of the waters and everything. And those are some of the reasons why universities are doing. People do PhD now and answer doctorates without a proper research solution.
Don't throw jabs. No. I refuse to receive it.
I wasn't even talking about you. I'm talking about university institutions and they're awarding PhDs without really.
Okay, the United States-based Institute of Law Research and Development yesterday called on President Bola Tinubu to reverse the suspension of Governor Sim Fubara of Rivers State, warning that failure to do so will irreparably damage his legacy. Yes, they said that he said that if the Supreme Court upholds the emergency declaration and the suspension of a democratically elected state governor and legislature by another democratically elected official to permanently stain his legacy. He noting that the Supreme Court was currently handling a suit filed by 7 opposition governors challenging the legality of the suspension. The statement cautioned that any attempt to avoid a ruling on the case, such as dismissing it on technicalities, would further damage the public perception of both the judiciary and the president's commitment to democracy. So they said they've spoken because that they've researched the law.
All right, our final paper for today, Nigerian Tribune. Youths defy police warning, stage protest in Lagos, Abuja, Rivers, Ibadan, others. Saudi ban, Nigeria not affected from the federal government. UBEC disburses 22 billion naira to states for training of 224,000 teachers. CNG, federal government attracts $491 million investments. Unveils plan to expand penetration in 30 states. We need more CNG filling stations. I know that one is not government, but just let me just send out this reminder. APC governors visit Buhari in Kaduna, say party stable ahead of 2027. Naira under pressure amid global tariff tension and plateau killings. Military to deploy more troops to troubled communities. Which story are we taking?
Mine took the story from inside because the one that interested me was the one inside, the soldier that was arrested for chopping off a trader's fingers. Apparently, yeah. Can you imagine? This happened in Mina. He went to buy shoes from the trader and then they started to quarrel over the price. So that got the soldier angry. So he removed his cutlass from his trousers to chop off the head of the trader, and the trader put his hands up, so he sliced off.
Finish his animal body.
Hi.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Wow.
And then he now ran away, but they found him and they have arrested him.
Okay, that's good. So we'll be waiting for justice to be served, and sadly they cannot reattach that finger because funny enough, medically it could have been done, but it wasn't done. If it's not done immediately within the right time frame, it might not be able to work. That's all we can take on front page review for today. Good news is Saudi ban does not affect Nigeria, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, I was going to take that one.
Yeah, stay with us. You heard it. You did not take it. You went
no,
to
I
take
did. It was not in. It was in Vanguard, and you quickly moved to the next paper.
So is a good news. Stay with us.
But they said during the tourism, during the Hajj, is what that the Hajj is for only Muslims to go to Saudi Arabia.
Okay. All right, that's what we can take on front page review for today. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll continue with the show. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
TVC Communications, Nigeria's leading independent broadcast company, has been officially designated as a great place to work. Over the past 3 years, we have transformed our workplace into one which is respectful, caring, rewarding, and provides great benefits to all our 500 employees. We thank our team for giving us the chance to show that partnership between employer and employee really works. TVC Communications, officially designated as a great place to work, and now the only broadcasting and media company, not just in Nigeria, but throughout continental Africa, to be fully certified. TVC Communications, a great Nigerian company, a great Nigerian place to work.
Do you think you can outplay me in this game of wits and knowledge? Can you go 7 rounds without flinching? I meant answering 7 questions correctly. How well can you hold your liquor? If you're curious, then join us for the most exciting conversation and games with your favorite celebrities on 7 of 7.
Welcome to Pure Entertainment. What would you like to order from our menu today? We have the regulars,
So let me go and look for my jam results. So
My 280 was 320. I suppose don't be one medical.
At this point, I contest my jam results.
I want to close the show.
I can go. I can.
That's all we can take. Ejeki, close the show, you for that long.
Ladies and gentlemen, #1 unavailable by Davido featuring Musa Keys.
We also have today's chef special.
Yo, shiny, yeah. Say recap done, and it's time for #1 on the countdown. One of Nigeria's hottest artists right now, his name is Rema, and this one is called Charm. Kick it.
Another.
For dessert and a bit of nightcap, we have the nighttime and online specials.
I want to start the gym, yeah? But do you know one thing that's actually keeping me back?
You should start the gym to get fat.
Cricket.
She says she does pole dancing to empower women.
What's the difference?
There's a difference.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. So pole dancer, you're already almost naked. You're already almost naked.
No, it's the empowerment for me.
Sex can make your relationship better.
No.
Sex can never be overrated.
It is needed.
Especially when it's good sex too. Almost every guy has been with somebody's girlfriend.
But they are for all of us now.
This is. That's why you're still single.
I would not agree or disagree with that because I don't want to get into trouble. I have a home to go to.
Your next question.
Oh, you ready to fail?
Who is the better? You see some spoils.
That woman.
Damn!
Yeah,
Today.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. So yesterday, we saw the visuals on social media where protest that was organized by the Take It Back movement over the proclamation of state of emergency in Rivers State, as well as the alleged misuse of the Cybercrime Act and the hardship within the country was attacked. The protesters were attacked by, according to some of the visuals we saw, and they were stopped from protesting by the police. So, of course, the country director of Amnesty International, Issa Sanusi, has called out the government, saying that people have a voice and they should be allowed to express their voice. He cited the fact that the protests that happened in August as well as in October last year all witnessed a level of obstruction of the protest, that globally what the police should do is to protect the protesters, prevent it from getting hijacked, and ensure that the protest takes place peacefully, that attacking peaceful protesters is something that they at Amnesty International disagree with. The protest took place across majority of states in Nigeria except Kano, Benue, Taraba, Kogi, Sokoto and others. But we saw more of the engagement within police. There were tear gas being shot at the protesters. The videos from Rivers State didn't look good at all. So our conversation is, how should protests be handled by the police? Do we think what the videos we saw, does it look good? We'd like to hear from you what your opinion is. Should we be having this protest? Are this protests being hijacked politically? Should the police be attacking or dispersing protesters the way they've done? Join the conversation by calling us on 0201 635 2013, or you can call us on 09024163440. Tweet to us or comment on our YouTube live stream ongoing. We'd love to hear from you. So Wake took it very, very personal when she was doing the newspaper review because of the video of a journalist also getting caught in the issue with in Rivers State. What was your opinion of you shared your opinion. What do you think we could have done better though?
I think, like you said, the police, their own is to be protecting the protesters and make sure that there is no disturbance. Once there is no disturbance, then Everything is fine. Let me go back to NSAS. During the NSAS riots, most of those protesters were peaceful. They were peaceful for days on end. They were jollophing, yes, they disturbed people from going to there, but that's protests. Protests cannot satisfy everybody. Now, the thing became violent after the police came and attacked. Was it police or soldiers? I can't even remember. The protesters, and that's when it became violent, and that's when it escalated, and TVC became a victim. I remember because Mien was there when it happened. I see Mien taken to his heels. So it now affected everybody. The police look, I'm not even sure that till today the police stations have been built.
Fully recovered.
They haven't. A lot of policemen became homeless. Now that's because of the way they decided to tackle the protesters. Everybody has a right. I mean, I was watching a TV station yesterday where they said, look, should be in America, they've been protesting against Donald Trump. And it's not even like our own that it was just a small amount of people that came out. Thousands of people have been... And Donald Trump, you know, he doesn't even like dissent in any way. But they're not born him. They didn't born in his generation to go and start using police to come and be attacking them. It's not possible. It's your constitutional right as a human being.
But when the protest is being organized by a known someone who has political interest, doesn't that taint the protest the look of the protest is already tainted because that protest is sort of like being led by Take It Back movement. Showore contested, you know, at a point in time, and because of that, if he leads a protest, it's no longer a protest about whatever it is, about the fact that this is a political partial person. Do you think that could have influenced the response the protesters got?
So when the agendas are read out, it's about, you know, bad policies, the hardship and all of that. So Showore, yes, contested, but we're not in election season. This is not immediately post-election that you think he's contesting the office. You're contesting a lot of things, and it might be in preparation for the next election where you're sensitizing the people to not vote the same people who are in charge of government into office. But this is not one of such. I think that this protest, wherever it is valid. Around the world right now, there are protests. There's a Take It Back. What are they telling the capitalists in America now? Is it Take It Back or let it go? They say hands off. What's that? Hands off to the capitalists who Elon Musk and the president who are, you know, obviously glutoning over the resources of the US. And so there are protests are happening around the world. So I must give kudos. The flowers of Lagos State. Lagos State, come and collect your flowers, because what we saw in River State did not happen in Lagos. Lagos has been burnt before, and they have seen it. So what their police and NSCDC and the neighborhood watch did, you see them, they were the ones protecting protesters, and they did the entire work with them, supporting them. The last time they had a protest in August, I think the August 1st one, the commissioner of police then, they brought water, food, everything, and joined the protest. Because what Lagos has experienced is that if people are going to hijack a protest, there's a possibility that they are looking to blame the police for that hijack, which is what happened during NSAS. Yes, it was already sensitizing. The governor was warning. The governor was the first to engage. He was warning that, you know, this was possibly hijack, and we cannot pretend that this is Nigeria. This is not America. People usually try to hijack. What we suffered, what we went through during that protest, we know that there were, you know, unseen elements behind it. Yes, so we know. So we cannot even play down that fact. But Lagos has now learned that this is when there are opposing ends trying to fight those people that the innocent suffer. So now they join the innocent and protest when people are tired and they go back, or that the matters are resolved. And so, which is what I saw. I watched the news carefully yesterday to see whether any such will happen, and it didn't happen here. But in River State, it happened to the extent that, as YK said, sister station, how will I call it, another station's journalist had to be saying, I'm not, you know, in trying to report it, you know, and the police in their usual manner, of course, were doing that. And they had military involved. Protests are in democratic setting, because we are not in Saudi Arabia, we are not in an Emirate, because the Muslims will not say supporting protests.
We are not in military.
We are not in an, you know, in Emirate, in Islamic protests are not encouraged. That's not the way to reach your government. But this is Nigeria, and we practice democracy, and we practice the presidential system copied from the US, where activism, protesting, and all of that were the standard of the day. And so that is how you influence policy change, you influence policy review, or you influence policy at all. And so people will do protests. And when they do it here, it should be, allowed and permitted, and guidelines should be put in place, including safety measures. In case there should be a fire ambulance, in case of anything, there should be medical ambulances, hospital ambulances, in case of any medical need. And I'll encourage that protest till the decision makers listen and change whatever the people want changed. Because we are not in office.
Before you go, I just going to say something. I want us to remember in 2011, during the fuel subsidy riots, most of the leaders in governments today were inside that protest that time. They were marching. And nobody disturbed them from their protests. In fact, we were all involved. Myself, I went to the protest ground. I remember. And there was no...
they were not stopped at the time.
Yes.
So there was tolerance for protesters. And it was a very serious protest. I remember that time.
Let me hear Amaka.
Yes, which is exactly what I wanted to say, in the sense that you cannot, as a government, pick and choose. What works for you, what doesn't work for you, especially in a democratic setting. People have constitutional rights that enable them to have a peaceful assembly and protest and gather, and you cannot take that away from them. And people must speak up, because as a government, how do you want to get feedback of what is working or what is not working? You're here to serve the people. You need to get feedback of okay, like you're saying that an opposition party was the one that championed this. It doesn't matter. Yeah, but let's be factual. When the agenda was read, everything that is being that they're protesting against is a reality.
Yes,
it's a reality. There are no made up points there. People are going through hardship, the dollar rates, prices of food items. There's insecurity. There's marginalization. A lot is happening, right? And someone has to speak up. And when we speak up, and if you don't like the protest, then work towards changing the narrative. Yes, so it has nothing to do with opposition. Whether he's the one that championed it, another group will still come up. And what I expect the police, from our precedents and from everything that's happened in terms of attacking police brutality against protesters, they should know better. I expect them to be able to work with these different groups and say, okay, how can we help? Let's make sure that nobody hijacks this. What is needed? Like Nima said, there should be ambulance in case there's an emergency. Why are you opening tear gas on people that are protesting peacefully? How is that a solution? Because when you attack somebody and then there's chaos, anything can happen, and then before you know it, there's fight and so on. I'm happy that we didn't get to that point. But why are you opening tear gas on people that are protesting peacefully for their rights, for a better Nigeria?
So I hear you, and we'll take a break, and when we come back, I would I love what Nima said. There is a template that can work, and it worked. We saw a template that worked last year in Lagos. It worked again yesterday. The protest was allowed in a way that was still curtailed in being small, but they were not in any way harassed. There was no fighting or pushing or disturbing them from being able to protest. So it means if you can work in one state, you can work in all states. We'll discuss the things that the lessons that can be learned from how Lagos handled the protest after we return from this break. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
So, there is a small problem.
TVC Communications, Nigeria's leading independent broadcast company, has been officially designated as a great place to work. Over the past 3 years, we have transformed our workplace into one which is respectful, caring, rewarding, and provides great benefits to all our 500 employees. We thank our team for giving us the chance to show that partnership between employer and employee really works. TVC Communications, officially designated as a great place to work, and now the only broadcasting and media company not just in Nigeria but throughout continental Africa to be fully certified. TVC Communications, a great Nigerian company, a great Nigerian place to work.
Do you think you can outplay me in this game of wits and knowledge? Can you go 7 rounds without flinching? I meant answering 7 questions correctly. How well can you hold your liquor? If you're curious, then join us for the most exciting conversation and games with your favorite celebrities on 7 of 7.
Welcome to Pure Entertainment. What would you like to order from our menu today? We have the regulars.
So let me go and look for my jam results. So
By 280 or 320. I suppose don't be one medical.
At this point, I contest my jam results.
I want to close the show.
I can go. I can.
That's all we can take.
I choose
Ejeki, close the show here for that long.
Ladies and gentlemen, number 1 unavailable by Davido featuring Musa Keys.
We also have today's chef special.
Yo, shine, 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 shiny, yeah. Say recap done, and it's time for number 1 on the countdown. One of Nigeria's hottest artists right now, his name is Rema, and this one is called Charm. Kick it.
Another.
For dessert and a bit of nightcap, we have the nighttime and online specials.
I want to start the gym, yeah, but do you know one thing that's actually keeping me back?
You should start the gym to get fat.
Cricket.
She says she does show dancing to empower women.
What's the difference?
There's a difference.
That's what I'm saying.
So pole dancer, you're already almost naked. You're already almost naked.
The empowerment for me.
Sex can make your relationship better.
No.
Sex can never be overrated.
It is needed.
Especially when it's good sex too. Almost every guy has been with somebody's girlfriend.
But they are for all of us now.
That's why you're still single.
I would not agree or disagree with that because I don't want to get into trouble. I have a home to go to.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing the protests, taking back protest movement that took place around Nigeria yesterday and the resultant police and how the police affected the protest. And we were talking about the template of what's happened in Lagos and how Lagos State Police Command managed protesters in a way that they cannot say that they've been harassed. They cannot say, even when they whenever the protest ends, the police and the protesters will shake hands and say bye-bye. If he works in Lagos, it means he could have worked in Rivers State. So what are the lessons concerning how Lagos has handled protests? Well, could it be because Lagos suffered the huge suffering in 2020 that the trainings, yes, that there were a lot more trainings for how to handle protest. And I noticed that in the north, because of what happened last year, the last protest that took place, because they also really suffered, they did not even allow any protest at all this year. How do we find that balance that we...
Thank God that you mentioned the north. You know, right now the north is boiling in Benue. The bandits killing people. One of the advocated item was, you know, ending banditry, improving security during this protest, and I was pained
that they did not allow
that
the protest.
Why would they allow a protest? Sometimes protest is not just talking. It's not until we are talking to government that we protest. You could be protesting against the bandits themselves. You could be protesting against the evil itself. You know, so why wouldn't they allow that protest? Why are they not protesting in Kano? Is it, you know, I don't understand. You know, that thing happened in the politicized protest too much. Protest necessarily doesn't have to be about the person in office. It doesn't have to be, we could be protesting an evil. So maybe something evil is happening in the country.
I don't think it was that they did not allow. The news does not carry that they didn't allow it. It's that the protest did just not take place.
It didn't take place there. We don't see videos.
There wasn't protest. It wasn't based on that they were not allowed. They didn't show up.
So that's the point I'm making.
The
people, I'm talking about the people not considering this protest. Maybe they didn't get, maybe because it was a Twitter gathering anyway. They gathered from Twitter and went to street. That's why I saw it. Because, you know, Showore's platform. And so maybe they didn't hear it. But they have pressing issues up north. More pressing issues up north that, you know, they should have been on the streets. Edo, the people had complained too much about kidnapping, raping of their people in the farms. Why were there no protests in Edo? Why do we choose certain places? Does Shawore, who is behind this protest, not know the pressing peculiar issues per state? Why are there not people in those areas that are also following? Protest doesn't have to be about who is in office. That's the way I see it. If it is about only about who don't like, what I want is that we have our peculiar pressing issues. Edo has a peculiar one all the way to out in the farms. People no longer go to farms. It's not safe anymore. And so they should have protests in such places, gatherings where government, where they're telling government, this is priority, this is number one, you must face this one first.
For somebody who's organizing, I'll take this phone call. I'll come to you. Good morning, welcome to the show, David. Hello, David, can you hear us? David, we can't hear you. Oh, what's going on? All right, sadly we lost that call. So, but YK, I love what Enima was going to.
Yeah, but I wanted to say, Showore's funds are limited. Showore's reach is limited. If it was NLC now that organized that protest, you would have been in Edo. So you have to give. You have to give Showore his flowers for even trying.
To be able to convince people
to step out. Because how many of us on this table safe? Or inside this studio, how many of us came out? None of us now. So it was
until yesterday. Online. I didn't even know.
I didn't even know there was protest. Shame me, I don't go to social media.
It's yesterday that I was following that.
It's as if you abuse me on social media. I will not even notice because I'm never there. So what I'm trying to say is, so he but if it because I'm glad you brought up the Romi,
the issues, each issue should be each issue raised should have people without being galvanized, without step out to protest the issue. But let me take David. David is back.
Okay.
Hello, David. You're live. Hello. Do we have David there? We're not understanding what is going on, but David will be waiting to
soon protest the network. This network will soon protest
because this week the network has been
misbehaving. And so, like what Nima said is totally correct. Like you know, but coming back to what you asked earlier about opposition party, it should not be about any party or whoever. If something is happening in your state, in your local government, you should be able to come out and protest so that whoever is in charge can see, and then something can be done about that, right?
But there's need for galvanizers.
Yeah, there's also need for galvanizers, right? But if something is not, if you're not being directly affected by a particular thing,
you won't feel it.
You won't really feel.
Yes.
You won't really feel. What the protest about yesterday is is the general thing that is affecting everybody. But like she said, in the north, they know what's going on there, and she made me laugh when she said, it's a Twitter campaign, so maybe the people in the north did not hear it. Let's not enter that. That one on Twitter. That one, what do they call that thing when someone says
she threw akara,
and he hits them, but no problem. So they don't do Twitter, no problem.
Then but
he might not know like what's happening in Urumi. Right? Yeah. So someone from Urumi or people that have been affected will come up, no, they don't even need to, they cannot come up and volunteer and say, okay, we want to be part of this, but this is our own challenge. This is the problem we are facing. Maybe we are farmers and we don't have food insecurity, or maybe we're not lacking food in Urumi, but we have bandits. This is what we have. This is so this on this agenda. This is what we're protesting. Different people
they have their issues and they would bring up their issues.
They were interviewing one of the protesters in Lagos. And he was talking about the Oroshoki demolition.
Exactly.
The Oroshoki demolition concerned them in Abuja. It didn't concern them. It didn't concern them.
The challenges are local.
The challenges are local. And so when he was talking, he talked about the general one and then said, even the demolition. And when I was like, I quickly checked. Oh, yes, along the waterways, along the water channels, Lagos is
Let me take this call.
Sorry. So talk the one that concerned you.
Welcome to the show.
Join protest just to hate somebody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure being with you this morning. And, on the issue of protest, I think it's been quite unfortunate that in Nigeria, or not just in Nigeria, because so many people use US as a yardstick. There has been quite a lot of protests in the US that were suppressed, even while their students were, campaigning against the Gaza genocide or what have you. But in Nigeria, the current situation is that so many people take advantage of little opportunity, and when people protest, you have a large chunk of people who are ready to, hijack that protest. And I think that's one of the things that makes the police also misbehave. Because I've been part of many protests. I see people, trying to even face the police that are just meant to protect both protesters and the general public. And also, I think it is wrong for us to protest and block roads while we deprive other good users their rights, their freedom. And these are things that causes most of these issues. Unfortunately, too, the government almost gets unpopular all the time because of their fear of escalation. And so I think what we need to do, like what Lagos has done, trying to make sure that all security outfits join the protest, protect the people.
Keep it peaceful.
But I can tell you, if we get a larger crowd, that may not also work in Lagos. So we are appealing to the government itself to listen to very little details of the people when they demand and try to fix all these things. It is not rocket science.
Thank you so much.
To have a nation where people can get the dividends of democracy.
Thank you, and fruits of the government. Thank you so much, David, for bringing the validity of the police, because for those whose things got looted, for those whose shops get looted, for those that they just drove their trailer mistakenly past when
and they burnt their cows.
Yes, when a protest is going on and their bags of rice were looted, those people would be happy to have the police quell and stop protests from taking place, because they would feel like it might get hijacked, which is why I said let's study the Lagos template. But YK, we're rounding off.
I was going to what?
I cannot remember what you want to say because I'm not excited.
You want to say something?
But in conclusion,
I was talking about drink 50 plus of 60.
You just cut me off. I was talking about the Uromi. They have been protesting for months about the insecurity in their place, where people are being killed. Now they Well, I don't agree that it was right. They took the law into their own hands. What are they doing? They're now arresting all and sundry. But yes, you are involved in the killing of
the police are now upgrading them, defrauding them now, forcing them to.
No, but they've already changed some things after that news broke. We must acknowledge the police when they do what is right, just as we call them out when they do what is wrong. So we are calling out the police in Rivers State, the administrator in charge of Rivers State for how they've handled the protest. It could have been managed better. In a peaceful protest where they did not carry arms, no tear gas should have been fired. They should have been kept in line, protected and watched, and they work with them all through that protest, because the truth is every police officer is also facing the challenge that we're talking about. Banditry is affecting them. The hardship within the country, cost of living going high, has affected them as well. We know what we want is peaceful protest. We don't want it to be hijacked. We don't want looting, but we need to find the healthy balance to these things.
Talk about a River State. Part of the protest was the administrator should go. And they should bring their governor back. So maybe that is why they just tabaru them. But they should be allowed to talk, because whether you like or not, Fubara was democratically elected.
So even if you don't agree, let them protest. When they finish and they go, you cannot explain.
They should come and copy Lagos templates.
Yes, copy Lagos templates. That's the end. But we need to canvass. We need leaders. We need canvassers. I remember my estate's elections took place because the leader within my community galvanized all of us to say you need to show up and vote for who is our next chairman. And so a lot of us walked down to the election place because we had a leader that galvanized. We need community leaders. We need people should take responsibility. Little by little we can bring about major change when they realize that whatever is happening, nobody's keeping quiet about it. We shouldn't have to be scared in our country. We shouldn't have to be unable to eat 3 square meal in our country. But that's what we can take on this segment. We have a packed Healthy Tuesday show for you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Do you think you can outplay me in this game of wits and knowledge? Can you go 7 rounds without flinching? I meant answering 7 questions correctly. How well can you hold your liquor? If you're curious, then join us for the most exciting conversation and games with your favorite celebrities on 7 of 7.
Welcome to Pure Entertainment. What would you like to order from our menu today? We have the regulars.
So let me go and look for my jam results. So
My 20 was 320. I suppose don't be one better.
At this point, I contest my jam results.
I want to close the show.
I can go. I can.
Yeah, that's all we can take. Eje can close the show for that long.
Ladies and gentlemen, number 1 unavailable by Davido featuring Musa Keys.
We also have today's chef special.
Yo, shine, 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 shiny, yeah. Say recap done, and it's time for number 1 on the countdown. One of Nigeria's hottest artists right now, his name is Rema, and this one is called Charm. Kick it.
Another.
For dessert and a bit of nightcap, we have the nighttime and online specials.
I want to start the gym, yeah, but do you know one thing that's actually keeping me back?
You should start the gym though, you're getting fat.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Recently, the state of the nation's health sector has raised major talking points as a pregnant woman and the unborn child died while waiting to receive medical attention. It was alleged that by the deceased husband that the hospital demanded the sum of 500,000 naira before admission. So we have joining us in the studio the President, Association of Nigerian Physicians in the Americas, Dr. Cliff Eke. He will be speaking on how to combat the scourge of maternal mortality, improve our health sector significantly, and bring in, we want to bring down the brain drain, you know, sort of possibly reverse JAPA and all the other things the association is doing to assist our health sector. So welcome to the show, Dr. Eke.
Thank you very much.
I was saying just before we went live that in Nigeria you pray not to fall sick because it is literally, being sick is life and death, but here it is literally more of a life and death situation because of all the other challenges involved with the health sector. So I don't even want to start the conversation with you around the story itself, which is funding the health sector, because really that isn't you. But can we start with reversing JAPA?
Sure.
Because I have had in the past 5 years, I think almost every other year had to use a different dentist. So now, before I got into another dental clinic last year, I found out that this doctor has been here for a long time and she has maintained that hospital, because you go and see a dentist today, you go back a few months time, the person is now in the UK or the person is in the US.
Everyone dentist is the gynaes that I have.
The gynaes are living per second, you know. So how do we, what do you see as possible solution to reverse the JAPA? How do we benefit as a country from JAPA?
Okay. First of all, thank you for having me and your view. Very popular show, by the way.
Thank you for
And like you said, I'm the president of the Association of Nigerian Physicians in the Americas, AMPA. And we've been around for 30 years.
Wow.
We're celebrating our 30th anniversary.
Okay. So JAPA has been happening since.
We'll get to JAPA shortly. But this is why every year AMPA will come to Nigeria and do what we call AMPA Week. Involves health education, healthcare advocacy, and then service. Service, we do trainings and capacity building. We do free surgeries, medical care, free eye surgery, dental care, and then trainings in helping babies survive postpartum hemorrhage. Even we're doing today, as I speak, our team is doing mental health, wellness, and happiness workshop. So we bring a whole lot of menu or repertoire in the health field to our people yearly. And this year we're doing it in Lagos, in partnership with Lagos State Government, the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, FMC Butemeta, we have Rotary International, we have Indo Eye Clinic Foundation, among with other partners, M1, etc. Now, we'll come to your question. The JAPA syndrome. We're trying to JAPA that now.
Yeah.
Right? But the JAPA syndrome, you know, everywhere, basic human right or basic human need is we want security and want to be well, right? Most doctors that I've talked to that are here, we want a secured environment. That's number one. Two is they want to be compensated better. So somebody who is here done all their trainings and compared to what they earn when they leave Nigeria, and then the working conditions. So all these are factors that
has led to it.
Has made people to leave. And also healthcare financing is very important. Health is not cheap. Even though I believe it to be a universal right for every human being, and we come here, we give freely, but we are paying for it. So when we come, what we do is free. We use our own resources and volunteer. So eventually, it'd be nice to have our healthcare system. We have universal health insurance, but people don't have access to care. That is where we need everybody, or the government, we need to really invest in that, and especially in primary care and prevention. Because the curing is too expensive. We have to start prevention, which is cheaper to do.
So how much participation do you get? How many doctors would you say are members of AMPAN?
Okay.
And how committed? How many of them are willing to come back every year when you have to come back? To do this. I was the beneficiary, not directly. I recommended somebody for my myectomy, and she was able to get pregnant immediately after. But it was because some doctors had returned and were using the facility where I usually go for my checks, and I heard about it and quickly filled her name. And so I know how far-reaching this can be and it was a entirely free process.
Wow.
You know, so I know how far-reaching this can be, but I'll be surprised if AMPAN has up to 1,000 doctors.
We have more.
That come.
AMPA.
That come.
Well, no, not that come all the time.
Okay.
But the membership, we have a potential of 4,000 membership.
Wow.
But we come here typically about 70 or so. But this year in Lagos is the largest ever AMPA week. We have 130 professionals coming.
Wow.
Doctors, dentists, nurses, even residents and medical students. And it's been fantastic. But the idea, we don't just want to come and do AMPA week and leave. That's why we emphasize trainings and training. So whatever we bring, we want our colleagues, we always have partnership. I've mentioned some of them to you, whereby we work with our colleagues and share best practices so that when we leave, it continues. Something else that can continue when we leave is because of technology now. Everybody has a smartphone. Everybody has internet. We're able to have what we call telemedicine. So even if I'm gone, I can consult. I told you, send me a picture of your son's wound, for example. I can look at it and advise, right? And we started this in 2022 when we were in Edo State. After our AMPA week, the governor bought into the concept and we established telemedicine in the primary healthcare center. Started with one, now we're in five to seven of them. So every month,
the doctors have
our
access.
physicians in the US can consult. Patients are gathered in the primary healthcare and through video platform, we can actually consult and recommend and take care of patients. So that's one way to Jakpada. Another way to Jakpada is a lot of us are coming back actually to establish. Yeah, most recent is Dr. Julius Oni. He's a famous orthopedic surgeon.
Yes, I follow him on Instagram.
Exactly. And he's an AMPA member. He just moved back in the last year or so. And there are others. Dr. Yemi Johnson has been here. Dr. Wale Suleiman. These are all AMPA members. Dr. Ben Anyango Inowere. He has a Regions Hospital. Okay, it's been here. So these are just some example of AMPA members that have come back and more will come back and are doing well.
That's
but the things I told you about security, healthcare, financing, we need to be able to, if I want to start a practice now, I shouldn't be able to come with all the cash up and put it, no. But if there are some loans in the US, grants or loans which are single digit interest loans, that then you can pay gradually as you progress in your practice. People will be able to come.
Okay, so I understand that sometimes, aside from some benefits, like you said, financial benefits or better environment to work at, that another reason why people japa is because they feel that they need to go learn and get better education in terms of the healthcare sector. Do you think that for people or doctors or nurses that don't have the opportunity to travel, do you think that they are shortchanged by the trainings that they have here? Or do you necessarily have to japa to get the trainings that they have there?
Very good question. Nigerians are one of the most brilliant people worldwide. In fact, in the US, we are the most educated immigrants, more than the Chinese, more than everybody. So we have the brains. And what I've observed in our schools here is the theory, they know, they can read it. The challenge is the practical. You can't read everything and practice medicine by reading. That's where some of them may leave to get that advanced training. And this is part of the reason the AMPA week will bring the training here. For example, we're doing advanced laparoscopy surgery. In fact, I was at Luth 2 days ago and worked with the locals to do a laparoscopic colectomy. We took out somebody's colon, they had colon cancer, with tiny little holes. At FMC Ebutemeta, we're doing laparoscopic cholecystectomy. Again, the same thing, we take out a gallbladder. And other ERCP and other minimal invasive procedures, which were again capacity building. So you don't always have to leave. However, we need to hopefully revamp our educational system. Interestingly, over 25 years ago, AMPA was instrumental in redoing the medical school curriculum, which had been in existence since the British left. But with the help of a grant from USAID, AMPA introduced the first change in the medical school curriculum, which some medical schools adopted. It's good now we have the Ministers of Health, Dr. Pate, Dr. Salako, and also Dr. Alausa, who was Minister of Health, State for Health before now is Minister of Education. and they are actually AMPA members. They are AMPA members, and with their help, and also with NIDCOM, Honorable Abike Dabre, you guys know her.
Yes.
And with Dr. Lausa's position now, he's able to influence more education, coming to the training you're saying. So we're hoping we can collaborate. They're trying to increase the number of healthcare providers, not just doctors, but nurses, midwives. I think the goal is to do 1,000 a year, and even 2,000 and 3,000. So they're also working to rehab the facilities. I know he had reached out to me about 2 weeks ago for AMPA to have a member on the task force.
To support
rehabilitation of schools. So not just the physical, but also the curriculum. And AMPA and other diaspora organizations, MANSA, CAMPA, these are all our other sister organizations.
This is really good. Sometimes the government are trying, they're making moves that we don't get to hear about. So it's interesting to hear your perspective. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll talk about maternal mortality. We're women. This affects us and it affects our constituency. And we'd like to see how we can improve, reduce the number of maternal mortality in Nigeria. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Do you think you can outplay me in this game of wits and knowledge? Can you go 7 rounds without flinching? I meant answering 7 questions correctly. How well can you hold your liquor? If you're curious, then join us for the most exciting conversation and games with your favorite celebrities on 7 of 7.
Welcome to Pure Entertainment. What would you like to order from our menu today? We have the regulars.
So let me go and look for my jam results. So
By 20 or 320. I suppose don't be one
At this point, I contest my jam results.
I want to close the show.
I can go. I can.
That's all we can take. Ejeki, close the show here for that long.
Ladies and gentlemen, number 1 unavailable by Davido featuring Musa Keys.
We also have today's chef special.
Yo, shine, 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 shiny, yeah. Say recap done, and it's time for number 1 on the countdown. One of Nigeria's hottest artists right now, his name is Rema, and this one is called Charm. Kick it.
Another.
For dessert and a bit of nightcap, we have the nighttime and online specials.
I want to start the gym, yeah, but do you know one thing that's actually keeping me back?
You should start the gym though, you're getting fat.
Cricket.
She says she does show dancing to empower women.
What's the difference?
There's a difference.
That's what I'm saying. So pole dancer, you're already almost naked. You're already almost naked. No,
the empowerment for me.
Sex can make your relationship better.
No.
Sex can never be overrated.
It is needed.
Especially when it's good sex too. Almost every guy has been with somebody's girlfriend.
But they are for all of us now.
That's why you're still...
right, welcome back and thanks for staying with us. So we're interrogating Dr. Cliff behind the scene,
yes,
and but we wanted to talk about the maternal mortality rate in Nigeria. It is worrisome, and this is avoidable. So I think I took a story about, was it Enugu State, a week or two ago, where the governor was able to provide data about how providing primary health care centers had reduced the rate of maternal mortality within his states. Now I want to ask you, what do you, based on your what AMPA has been doing, going and coming, what have you seen as what we can do as a country that can trigger the highest number, like the margin that can shoot that margin from where it is and drop it.
Bring it down. Yes, very good. And actually, you already gave the answer, starting in Enugu State, like you said. And like I said before, primary care is a key for us, Nigeria, in everything, prevention and primary care. So when a lady is pregnant, once they know, then the prenatal vitamins, for example, how do they take care of themselves? How do they do their prenatal visits regularly? Then, you know, after a while, we can do ultrasound to know, is this a high-risk pregnancy or not? If it's high risk, then we can prepare to deliver in a certain center, and you know, and if it's not, then we know what to do. So that's the first thing, is getting them connected to a primary health care center for their prenatal visits, right? So, but part of that involves education of the patients, of the populace. A lot of people get pregnant, they don't even go to the hospital, they don't feel comfortable going, right? So the primary health care centers, some of them are old, by the way. They need to be refurbished. I was in Ibadan yesterday with the First Lady, and they've refurbished, I think, about 299 and counting of their primary health care centers. If we can do that and make it so it's nice, and women feel comfortable and safe to come, and know that they'll be attended to. And then once they are plugged in there, when there's any problem or we sense anything, then we can refer them to the next level of the obstetrician to take care of them.
Some states do not lack facility. I think they need expansion, but not that they necessarily lack it. But the practices of the medical personnel is another issue. So if a doctor diagnoses that a person's pregnancy is one that has to be managed because of the nature of the pregnancy, who will inform the people in the lab? The people in the scan room? Because those waiting areas, they would make you, they would, you know, insist that
integration.
Particularly those who have to take blood will tell you, come downstairs. And you know, so lack of synergy, synergy between the departments, you know, creates that. I think that those are some of the improvements you can suggest that
we can advocate for.
So and what you just mentioned, Nima, is such a simple, you know, how you just change a simple part of your process and you would increase. This one is not even facility. This is existing facility and creating better interaction, synergy between all the medical caregivers that you are interacting with. So the doctor is aware, but all the nurses are not aware. The laboratories are not aware. Everybody needs to know that we are working to ensure this person is
that's right.
safe.
We have to work as a team, and that's one of the things we bring from AMPA. When we come in our team, we have pharmacists, we have nurses, we have dentists, we have doctors, surgeons, and non-surgical. Everybody's working together, and we know our role. There's no competition, and sometimes here there's some stress and competition. You know, the lab scientists and the pathologists. It shouldn't be that way. Everybody should be focused on the patient, right? You play your role and patient-centered care and good care. And so once the lady is pregnant now, and we talk about this, then we'll go to the next step. When they have their baby, complications. Maternal mortality is so high. It shouldn't be. One of the most common causes besides infection is bleeding.
Yes, and we don't have enough blood in the blood.
So, in fact, AMPA, part of our programs, is not just medical mission. We have training. The first day we came here on the 3rd, we had a program on postpartum hemorrhage at the LCCI Center in collaboration with Lagos State Ministry of Health, where we trained the midwives and the birth attendants to, first of all, recognize and prevent postpartum hemorrhage. And then when it happens, the medications to use.
How many people were in that training?
We had about 70 people in the training. But that's a start. We want it to be bigger. Then after the baby comes, also, infant mortality, you said, is very high. It's 14% or higher, one of them. So we're teaching what we call helping babies survive. Another program AMPA does. In fact, there are is happening right now at LCCI, again in conjunction with Lagos State, where they teach them how to do neonatal CPR.
I was going to ask, because you see, like Lagos State hospitals, federal hospitals may get all these from AMPA, but where the children die most are these private hospitals,
small ones.
We had a man, his wife and daughter, son died a couple of years last year. Very sad story. Nobody's going to the hospital till today. No accountability. The man has lost his wife and child, and it happens like that all the time. And all these are private hospitals. So, like, I mean, what you're doing is commendable. But what are we going to do about those?
Honestly,
hospitals.
Okay, that is not what
the grassroots. Very good question. Actually, in the program, we told the Ministry of Health to bring us the rural hospitals, the representative that came. So we don't just do with the Luth and FMC, because they have their own practice. We want those rural people from the PHCs, primary healthcare centers. Those are the people we need to reach in the grassroots.
Thank you so much.
That's where people are dying.
Can I just quickly say something? Because, you know, nobody talks about the fact that what happens to religious and ethnic beliefs when a woman wants to give birth and she needs blood, and then the family or the husband are saying that they can't give her that blood.
That's an ongoing.
Is it that do you just not take the consent from the family because you need to keep the person alive? What happens in situations like that?
You don't mind that.
I know.
That's a new topic when we are closing. Thank you so much, Doctor. I'm speaking with the President, Association of Nigerian Physicians in the Americas, Dr. Cliff Eke, and thank you for your contributions. Thank you for what AMPA is doing in supporting the medical sector within Nigeria, and we wish you all the best. We will take a break now. When we return, we are still discussing health. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Do you think you can outplay me in this game of wits and knowledge? Can you go 7 rounds without flinching? I meant answering 7 questions correctly. How well can you hold your liquor? If you're curious, then join us for the most exciting conversation and games with your favorite celebrities on 7 of 7.
Welcome to Pure Entertainment. What would you like to order from our menu today? We have the regulars.
So let me go and look for my jam results.
By 280 or 320. I suppose don't be one medical.
At this point, I contest my jam results.
I want to close the show.
I can go. I can.
That's all we can take. Ejeki, close the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, number 1, Unavailable by Davido featuring Musa Keys.
We also have today's chef special.
Yo, shine, 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 shiny, yeah. Say a recap done, and it's time for number 1 on the countdown. One of Nigeria's hottest artists right now. His name is Rema, and this one is called Charm. Kick it.
Another.
For dessert and a bit of nightcap, we have the nighttime and online specials.
I want to start the gym, yeah, but do you know one thing that's actually keeping me back?
You should start the gym though, you're getting fat.
She says she does pole dancing to empower women.
What's the difference? There's a difference.
That's what I'm saying.
So pole dancer, you're already almost naked. You're already almost naked.
That's the empowerment for me.
Sex can make a relationship better.
No, sex can never be overrated.
It is needed.
Especially when it's good sex too.
Almost every guy has been with somebody's girlfriend.
But they're for all of us now.
That's why you're still single.
I would not agree or disagree with that because I don't want to get into trouble. I have a home to go to.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Joining us this morning in the studio is United Kingdom certified specialist community practitioner. She has over 13 years experience in the UK working with the National Health Service, specializing in community nursing and bringing healthcare closer to home. She'll be speaking on the need for our society to imbibe the culture of engaging caregivers, highlighting the immense benefit, especially for elderly who are often lonely in their old age and mostly lack good medical attention. Welcome to the studio, Ugoma Okorie Wright. Welcome. You look beautiful in white. You can join the conversation by calling us on 0810-7641-679 or you can tweet to us at x.com. We'd love to hear from you. So we'll be discussing health, Our previous conversation highlighted conversations around maternal mortality and, now we're talking about the importance of caregivers. And for me, I look at it and I feel that as a country, there is the largest room is the room for improvement. Yeah. There is room for improvement in Nigeria. And we're talking about doctors and nurses, but some people would not die just if they have caregivers. And we are now training caregivers for diaspora as opposed to training caregivers to serve the market here. So how are you trying to create intervention in this space?
Okay. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me here. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So what it is, and a lot of the times on the show, people talk about people going abroad, but I'm doing the reverse, bringing that knowledge and skill back home, because there is a gap.
That's the term for that is jackpot.
There is a gap. There is a gap in our Nigerian healthcare system, and there is nobody in this room that hasn't received healthcare at some point. Of course. And it's looking at what do we, as a patient, what kind of care are you looking to get and what kind of care are you looking to receive? And from a personal experience, I've had people who've received care in Nigeria and it's been lacking, particularly the older ones. So with JAPA, the younger ones are leaving, the doctors are leaving, the nurses are leaving, they're taking their knowledges, everybody is going, but who is going to look after the parents? And then when they go there, they're then worried about their parents and how they look after them. So our culture, usually is, your parents get older, you look after them, they move in with you. That's the Nigerian culture norm as we know it. But over time, with JAPA as it started, we have now adopted the culture of having care homes. Which is not normal, and even when you go, when I say it's not normal, it's not that it's abnormal, but it's not what we are known for, and it's not what we're used to. Exactly. And even when you go in diaspora, when you have people who are going into care homes, it's a very difficult thing for them because you're uprooting them from their home, where sometimes they've lived for 40, 50 years, their whole entire lives, and moving them to a facility. So it's very difficult. So in the UK, we are already, for the past 10 years, we've been working towards removing healthcare from the hospital and the acute settings and bringing the care closer to home. So that has been that's where our 10-year plan is going. So we're actually looking at pooling resources, and there is no kind of care, medical, physiotherapists, speech and language therapists, even end of life is now being brought to the community at home. And that's what I'm looking to do here. as well. So if you have so I'll use my own personal experience. My late grandmother from my father's side, my paternal grandmother, passed away from Alzheimer's. It was a very difficult time for us, and I remember very clearly at the time, I would be on the phone to my auntie, and she would tell me what they're doing, and I'll just keep barking instructions, tell them to do this, tell them to do that, and it wasn't happening, and I was full of frustration. And over time, I have had times where I have friends who are in the same situation, and I'm giving them advice on what to do, and I'm sort of consulting, so to speak, with them on how to support their families at home, or sometimes even going to pay visits to their family members to sort of give advice. And then that sort of got me thinking, why don't we, or why don't I, it starts with one person, isn't it? Why don't I look at a way to bring that quality, that knowledge, those skills that I have back home and train people here to deliver the care here. So when I started my company 18 months ago, a lot of the time when people hear home healthcare service provider, they hear home and they hear care and they think care home. So I have to start that education to say it's not a care home. We are bringing the care to you in your own home.
Now, let me before we go into what you're doing in Nigeria, I think that because of what we've been discussing before you joined the show, I would like us to take a more broad perspective. That yes, we know that the healthcare for elderly is lacking. We know that caregivers are not really caring, and maybe the number isn't enough. But we do have institutions now. How do you think from what you said, there's a economy around it. How viable is the economy of caregiving in Nigeria? And how can people tap into that opportunity?
It's a very niche market at the moment, and it's something that people have to be very, very careful about. I think we need to have a lot more structure, legal framework around it. So not just have a company pop up and say we're providing care, but what are the registrations you need to do to be a recognized, registered caregiving company? Either you have a care home or you deliver care in people's homes. That needs to be regimented and regulated. A lot is happening in Lagos State, and a lot is happening in Nigeria. And the doctor that left said Nigerians are very intelligent, and that's true. We are amazing. We are extremely intelligent. But it's what do we do with that knowledge and that care? Sorry, go on. Finish up. Because when you hear caregiving, we do the training. So I deliver a lot of training, and I have also what's it called now? I've forgotten the word I was going to say, but I have collaborated with a company in the UK as well, so that all the training that I deliver are UK certified.
What states exactly are you operational in? One, and then secondly, how do you we've seen cases where caregivers begin to abuse the people they're taking care of. So how do you also foster against elder abuse from
I think that's really real. I was going to ask that because I have a friend who is using a professional caregiving company and they were abusing her mom. Her mother has Alzheimer's. This one I even just heard it on Saturday. Many of them. Then even the Nigerian ones in England are abusing the ones in England too.
It's true.
So how are we going to change? How are you going to make sure? Are you going to put camera on their neck?
In any country and in any society, there is always a bad egg. However, within every organization, you don't also have to look at the steps and the checks and balances you put in place. So when I said about having legal frameworks that manage these companies, also put them in check, because if you're coming to check not just criteria but qualifications of people, and if everybody is checking somebody, so if we have organizations that check us as companies, we'll be forced to also check our people. And it's giving the families voices as well, and giving everybody a voice to be able to speak up. So before I talk about the general population, if I use my company for example, when we train people, we train them not just in the usual care certificate that is normal, but we train them in safeguarding of adults and safeguarding of young ones. And we also train them to recognize the different types of abuse, because it's not just your physical abuse and your financial abuse. You have your institutional abuse, like you mentioned. You have your acts of omissions and neglect. You have your emotional abuse and your psychological abuse. So we train them to recognize those, and also recognize when it's not coming from them, but also from the family they're looking after. So sometimes you will have your situation where maybe the main financier of the family lives abroad, and then they have cousins, uncles, whatever, looking after the older person, and they're the ones who are actually even abusing that older person. So we give them the skills and the bravery to recognize that and to escalate it to us, so we can then start to have conversations with who we've identified as the next of kin to say, this is what's happening. So where it comes to our own staff, if we recognize, if we even get a hint of that happening, the person is fired immediately. Because the challenges we're having at the moment, because it's a very niche market and people are recognizing there's something called caregiving. Every Tom, Dick and Harry is coming to them a caregiver. So, and oh my goodness, and sometimes it's not just I'm a caregiver because I've looked after my grandmother when she was young, or I looked after my cousins when they were kids, but it's about, do you have that compassion in you to actually really care for someone?
That's where my question will come from. So the way we've done it here is that you don't need a medical knowledge background for it. You either love the person or your familial relation with the person.
The responsibility.
So it's your responsibility. So is there anything in how we've done it that you're trying to adopt or improve upon so that works? Because I would never leave my mom with a total stranger, no matter how medically qualified the person is. What I would do is, always have my mom closer to me. Although my grandma is with my cousins, but my mom, I can't imagine none of us being around her. So what exactly are you going to give me are you willing to give a family member some form of training so that they can improve their care?
So there are people that come just to train themselves, and we deliver the training and they go. So if, for example, with your case and your mom, you don't want anybody else, you want it to be just you and your mom, we can train you. We can train you on all the relevant things you need to know. We can train you on things like even catheter care, should she get in that need where she's need for it. We can train you to recognize signs of infection, to recognize when the health is deteriorating, to be able to even take the vital signs and know what they mean. Because it's not just to take the blood pressure, it's do you know what that blood pressure means? So people would say to you, oh, we'll go and get someone from the village. Or sometimes I even get asked, what's the difference between a professional caregiver and that person I pick from the village to come and help out? But the difference is the clinical knowledge that they have to recognize what's going wrong with the person. So it can be the simplest basic things. So when we do our trainings, we give out scenarios and we ask you, do you notice any red flags? Because if it's, for example, let me use for example. So one of the questions
is stroke.
Pardon?
How would you know if the person is having the stroke? There's some little things. Is the person having? Is the person about to slump? People are not paying attention.
Exactly, and recognizing those signs. And sometimes the signs of stroke is not your usual fast that they say, the face drooping, the words. Sometimes it's not that. Sometimes it could just be a headache, an ongoing headache. People present in different ways. People think if you're going to have a heart attack, you'll have a sudden chest pain and then that's it. Women present differently. We don't get the pain down our hand. We get it on this other side. Wow. So it's about knowing what's what, and different ages, different ethnicities, so when you're looking at your white person versus your black person, the way we present in ear health is very, very different. The way your older person presents is very, very different. So sometimes when I train my people, or even when I interview them, one of the questions I tend to ask them is, what would you do if the older person you're looking after refuses to eat or bathe, or what would you do? And it's amazing the kind of things that I hear. But sometimes when we go further to probe, because there's so many things, it could be, and my grandmother, when she was alive, went on a hunger strike. Because she wanted to speak to my dad, who had traveled at the time. So it's about probing a bit further. Why is that person not eating? Why is that person not showering? Or is it because, okay, so you ask them to shower today, tomorrow they refuse, you don't want, or they're used to that, and then you leave them, you don't clean them up? You know, so you have to keep probing, you have to keep asking. Maybe they're not feeling well. Maybe there's something going on that they don't even know how to articulate, and so they will just tell you they're not hungry. Your older person, when they start, you know, because life, there's a natural cycle to life. When you start to deteriorate in health, the first thing they do is they stop swallowing. Swallowing is the first thing that happens at the last stages of life. So, and before they stop swallowing, they will tell you, oh, I'm not hungry. You know, so you look at, then at that point, what am I giving that person to eat? If they like, we like our protein in Nigeria, we like our meat and all those things. So if they like to eat meat, how else am I processing that food? Can I make it a softer diet and see if they will try?
We're almost out of time. I'd like you to address using family members, the dangers of using family members as caregivers, and the benefits of using professionals.
I wouldn't say there's a danger per se for using family members.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say there's a danger.
Do you know the sign of it? Do you know the sign of it?
There are pros and cons to it. Yeah. It's recognizing with family members. Family is a very dynamic and can be very complicated. With family members, is recognizing and having the courage to call out bad practice. So you might be, let me use my lovely sister here. Maybe you're looking after your mom, and I'm not saying you're looking after her badly, but maybe you're not doing something quite right. And your younger one notices something, but they don't have the courage to tell you. So it's about having that courage to call out the bad practice you see.
Let me throw in one more question. Like, how much would you pay to take care of an aged person? And the older it goes, do you need to increase the money?
Is it expensive?
Well, it's not expensive. It's very affordable.
Okay.
Well, at least for mine, I've made it very affordable because I don't want it to be.
Naira and Kobo, give us a
Naira and Kobo.
A range.
A range. I won't probably say it starts from about 150 a month.
Okay.
But if you break that down, that's like about 5,000 naira a day.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's location because we're running out of time. So at the moment we work remotely and we work as well. So we've got offices in Enugu State and Lagos State. Lagos is our HQ, but we work remotely. So we have clients that are in other places, Owerri, Abuja. I always make a joke and say the only place we won't go to is Sambisa Forest, but we go everywhere. So it's where the person needs us. We've got staff who are also willing to travel.
So my own person is in Sambisa Forest.
I have to train the trees to do the forest. But I think the final words, I don't know how much more longer we have. I think the last words for me is just recognizing the fact that we have, when we did our census in 2023, 3% of our population, which equates to 6.8 million or something, are age 65 and older.
Wow.
And the statistics have been predicted that will triple. That would
they take that. Not yet.
That would triple by 2050. So it's about educating ourselves, educating our families, recognizing when we need help, because sometimes a professional caregiver is there to help you to be able to live your life and not be stressed and not fall sick.
Thank you so much.
Because you can't think
that's a good way
to
end this show. You might not necessarily be that your parents need the help, but you need the help so that you can refuel yourself and still have a life while giving your parents a quality life in their later years. Thank you so much for exposing us to the market of caregiving in Nigeria. I am sure many people are now going to start studying how they can enter the industry as well. We've had with us Okore, right? Yes, legitimately with proper training before you go into any interest, not just for commercial benefits. That's all you can take on the show. It's been a very healthy, loaded show. If you miss any part of it, catch the replay on YouTube. We'll see you all tomorrow. Bye. Thank you, ladies.